I stared out my office window in Seattle, watching the rain trace patterns down the glass. The city skyline stretched before me, gray and alive. My reflection stared back at me, a 30-year-old man who had built this life from absolutely nothing. Senior software engineer, six-figure salary, an apartment with a view of Puget Sound. 7 years ago, none of this seemed possible. 7 years ago, I was sleeping in my car, wondering if I would ever recover from what my own family had done to me. And now, after 7 years of silence, they were back. Before I tell you what happened, let me know in the comments where you are watching from. Hit that like button and subscribe if you want to hear how a false accusation can destroy everything you love and how I clawed my way back from nothing. Now let me take you back to where it all fell apart. It was spring of 2016. I was 19 years old, living with my parents in Portland, Oregon. Life felt like it was finally coming together in all the right ways. I was in my second year at Portland State University, majoring in computer science, and I was actually good at it. Really good. My GPA sat at 3.8. I had earned a scholarship that covered most of my tuition. I had just landed an internship opportunity at a tech startup that everyone said could be my ticket into the industry. My parents were proud. My future looked bright. Home was comfortable back then. My mom would make dinner every night. My dad and I would watch basketball games on weekends. They were supportive, loving, the kind of parents who believed in me. I thought I knew what family meant. I thought I understood loyalty and trust. Then there was Sophia, my cousin. She was 17, the daughter of my mom's sister. Her parents traveled constantly for work, so Sophia spent a lot of weekends at our house. I treated her like a little sister. I helped her with homework, sometimes drove her places when she needed rides, teased her about her terrible taste in music. She was family. I cared about her. It was a Friday night in March when everything started to crack. I remember it clearly because I had a programming assignment due Monday morning and I had barely started. The deadline was killing me. I was in my room, headphones on, drowning in code, when Sophia knocked on my door. She wanted me to drive her to some party her friends were throwing across town. I glanced at my laptop screen, then at the clock. It was already 8:30 p.m. I told her no. I explained I had work to finish. Important work. She could ask my parents or call an Uber. Her face changed. The friendly smile disappeared, replaced by something cold and angry. She said I was selfish. She said I never made time for her. I tried to stay patient, tried to explain that this project was 20% of my grade, but she just stormed out of my room and slammed the door. I heard her crying in the guest room later that night. My mom went to check on her. I felt guilty, but I told myself she would get over it. It was just teenage drama. I went back to my code. I worked until 3 in the morning, finally finishing the assignment, then collapsed into bed. That was Friday night. By Sunday evening, my entire life would be over. Sunday started normal. I went to the library on campus to study. I grabbed lunch with a friend. I came home around 6 p.m., expecting a quiet evening. But when I walked through the front door, I knew immediately something was wrong. The air felt thick, heavy. My mom was sitting on the couch, her eyes red from crying. My dad stood by the window, arms crossed, his jaw clenched so tight I could see the muscles working. Sophia's parents were there too, my aunt and uncle. And Sophia sitting in the armchair, looking small and fragile, her eyes swollen, her hands trembling in her lap. My mom told me to sit down. Her voice was shaking. Saturday. Nobody spoke for what felt like forever. Then Sophia started crying. Not loud, dramatic sobs, but quiet, broken sounds that made my stomach twist. My aunt put her arm around Sophia's shoulders. My uncle stared at me like I was a stranger, like I was something dangerous. Then Sophia spoke. Her voice was barely a whisper. She said I had touched her inappropriately. She said it happened Friday night while she was sleeping on the couch. She said I came downstairs after everyone went to bed and I heard her. The room tilted. My brain could not process what I was hearing. For a few seconds, I just sat there frozen, trying to make sense of words that made no sense. Then I exploded. I stood up. I said that never happened. I said I was in my room all night working on my project. I had proof. My laptop. The file timestamps. The history showing I was online until 3 in the morning. I never left my room. I never went downstairs. This was insane. This was a lie. But nobody moved. Nobody looked relieved. My mom just kept crying. My dad would not even look at me. My aunt held Sophia tighter. My uncle's face was red with rage. I turned to Sophia desperate and asked her why she was doing this, why she was lying. She just cried harder and turned her face away. My dad finally spoke. His voice was cold, flat empty of anything that used to be love. He asked me why she would lie about something this serious. He asked me what kind of person I had become. I tried to show them my laptop, tried to pull up the evidence, but my uncle knocked it out of my hands. He said evidence could be faked. He said Sophia had no reason to lie. I looked at my mom, begging her to believe me. She looked away. They did not call the police that night, but they might as well have. They locked me in my room. They told me I was not going to school the next day. I spent Monday pacing back and forth in that 10 by 12 space. My phone confiscated, my door locked from the outside. I felt like a criminal. I felt like I was losing my mind. Tuesday, my aunt and uncle came back. They sat in the living room with my parents. I could hear them through the walls, their voices rising and falling, my uncle shouting that I needed to confess, my mom sobbing that she could not believe her son would do this. I kept screaming that I did nothing wrong, but nobody listened. Nobody cared. By Wednesday, my dad started to look at me differently, not with anger anymore, but with disgust, with shame, like I was something rotten he needed to get rid of. He stopped speaking to me entirely. My mom would leave food outside my door but would not come in. I was alone in a house full of people who were supposed to love me. Wednesday night, they made me come downstairs for dinner. It was the most horrifying meal of my life. We sat around the table in complete silence. Sophia was there sitting across from me, her eyes cast down. I stared at her, trying to understand, trying to find the girl I used to know. But she would not look up. She just picked at her food, playing the victim perfectly. I tried one more time. I looked at my parents and I told them the truth. I told them I loved them. I told them I would never hurt anyone, especially not Sophia. I told them this was all because I refused to drive her to that party. She was angry. She was punishing me. My dad stood up so fast his chair fell over. He walked around the table, and then he hit me. His fist connected with my jaw. I fell sideways out of my chair, hitting the floor hard. My mouth filled with blood. My mom screamed but did not move from her seat. My dad stood over me, breathing hard, his face twisted with rage. He grabbed me by my shirt, hauled me up, and slammed me against the wall. His face was inches from mine. He told me I was not his son anymore. He told me he did not know who I was. He told me I made him sick. Then he let go. I slid down the wall, my legs too weak to hold me up. My mom was crying. Sophia was crying. My aunt and uncle just watched. Nobody helped me. Nobody stopped him. My dad told me to pack my things and get out. He said he did not want to see my face ever again. He said I had 30 minutes. It was 11 o'clock at night. It was raining. I stumbled upstairs, my jaw throbbing, my whole body shaking. I grabbed a backpack and threw in whatever I could find. Clothes, my laptop, my phone charger. My wallet had $200 in it. That was everything. That was my whole life now. When I came back downstairs, nobody said goodbye. My mom had her face in her hands. My dad stood by the door, holding it open, waiting for me to leave. I walked past him into the cold, wet night. The door slammed shut behind me. I stood there in the rain for a long time, not knowing where to go. I slept in my car that night, a beat-up 2008 Honda Civic with a broken heater. I curled up in the back seat with my jacket pulled over me, listening to the rain hammer against the roof, and I cried until there was nothing left. The next few weeks were a blur. Portland State put my scholarship on hold pending investigation. The startup pulled my internship offer after someone from my family reached out to them. I do not know who. I do not know what they said. But suddenly nobody wanted to hire me. My friends stopped answering my calls. Rumors spread fast. I became the guy accused of something unforgivable. I got a job at a convenience store stocking shelves for minimum wage. I kept sleeping in my car because I could not afford rent. Some nights I parked behind the store. Other nights I drove to random neighborhoods and hoped nobody would call the cops. I lived off of dollar menu food and tried not to think about the life I had lost. I kept replaying that Friday night in my head, over and over, trying to figure out what I could have done differently. Should I have just driven her to the party? Would that have prevented all of this? But then I would get angry. Angry that one selfish decision by a spoiled teenager had destroyed everything. Angry that my own parents chose to believe her instead of me. Angry that nobody even questioned her story. But mostly I felt alone. Completely, devastatingly alone. I could have given up. Part of me wanted to. But somewhere deep inside, buried under all the pain and anger, there was this tiny voice that refused to quit. It kept whispering that I was better than this, that I deserved more, that I would prove them all wrong. 6 months after they kicked me out, I managed to scrape together enough money to rent a room. It was tiny in a rough part of East Portland, shared with two other guys who barely spoke English and kept to themselves. But it had a bed. It had a roof. It was mine. I worked 2 jobs. During the day, I stocked shelves at the convenience store. At night, I delivered pizzas. I was exhausted all the time. My body ached. But every spare minute I had, I taught myself to code. I took free online courses through Coursera and Udemy. I built projects and posted them on GitHub. I went to tech meetups around Portland networking with developers trying to get my foot back in the door. Most people ignored me. I was just another kid with a laptop and big dreams.